Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome. Thank you so much for joining us today. I am here with UC Scout, and we are excited to see our title here, Demystifying College Admission and NCAA Eligibility for California Student Athletes. I am so grateful to be here with Guadalupe from UC Scout. We are going to go ahead and get started. Would love to introduce myself. My name is Courtney Sakalaris. I'm the Senior Manager for Districts and Education at Honest Game. I come to Honest Game from the high school space. I had an opportunity to be an athletic administrator at a large high school outside of Chicago for a little over 14 years. We used Honest Game software and solution for our student athletes at Oak Park River Forest. And I also had an opportunity many years ago to be a Division I athlete and have had an experience of coaching and helping student athletes find that college and athletic fit as they pursue that college athletic career.
Awesome. Thank you for that introduction, Courtney. Hi, everyone. My name is Guadalupe Sanchez, and I serve as an outreach specialist for UC Scout. If you're not familiar with UC Scout, don't worry. I'm going to go into a lot more information about my program shortly. But in the meantime, just so that you know, as we kick off this presentation, UC Scout is a program within the University of California, and we offer online high school level courses for students. So we are super excited to have this conversation with you today on how to help support student athletes with navigating college admission and NCAA eligibility. I'm excited that there is a virtual Zoom room here full of school counselors and athletic directors that are interested in learning the best ways to support student athletes with these intricate processes of course, not just college admissions to California public universities, but also shed some light on the key differences between those requirements and NCAA eligibility, because we know that both of those are not the same. And that also includes meeting high school graduation requirements, which is a whole thing in itself. So let's go ahead and begin. Let's explore those pathways. What does it look like to begin that journey of going to one of California's public universities? Well, if you have students that you're working with and they're interested in potentially attending a California, Cal State University, CSU campus, or University of California campus, we want to ensure that your student athletes are familiarized with these requirements, and then we'll transition things a little bit to provide some additional guidance on NCAA requirements. But to kick things off here, what are the California A through G requirements? We know that both the CSU and UC systems provide a vast amount of educational opportunities and experiences for student athletes. So we want to make sure that getting there for student athletes is as seamless as possible because there are so many different criteria. Now, in order for students to be eligible to apply for a four-year public university in California, such as the CSU or UC campuses, incoming freshman students must meet a series of high school courses, and these are what we call the A through G courses. Now, if you're not familiar with A through G, we're going to give you a quick breakdown of what these are. Now, in order for students to be eligible to meet these A through G requirements, students do have to meet at least get a C or better in these 15 A through G year-long courses. Now, these courses must also be A through G approved by both the CSU and UC campuses, and we're going to explain a little bit more of what that approval means a little bit later on in the presentation. And at least 11 of these 15 year-long courses must be completed prior to the student's last year of high school. Now, these 15 A through G courses are completed within those specific A through G subject areas that you're currently seeing on the screen. So that would be history, social science, English, mathematics, lab sciences, languages other than English, visual and performing arts, and of course, those college prep electives. And now students must also, in addition to the A through Gs, be earning at least a 3.0 GPA or higher, or 3.4 if the student is from out of state, in these 15 A through G approved courses. So these are the basic minimum eligibility requirements that are needed for students to be eligible to apply for the CSU or UC campuses. But we know that these requirements are not the sole requirements that student athletes need to meet to be NCAA eligible. So at this time, I'll turn it back over to my partner here, Courtney, who's going to cover some of those key differences for NCAA eligibility.
Thank you. So similar to what you just saw for 8th to G, we're going to kind of start very much on the bottom with the basics and understanding what is NCAA core GPA, what does that mean, and what are the standards? So the NCAA uses a combination of student athletes' high school coursework, right, to calculate their NCAA core GPA. We'll talk a little bit about what those classes look like for your specific schools, but for now, just understanding what the requirements are for the different divisions within NCAA. Division 1 student athletes must meet a minimum 2.3 core GPA out of their 16 cores in order to be a full qualifier, which means they can accept their athletic scholarship and participate the minute that they enroll. At Division 2, that's a 2.2 core GPA. And Division 3, there is no NCAA standards. That's going to be based specifically on admissibility into the institution. In Division 1, 10 of those 16 units have to be completed before they start their senior year. So there's a little similarity there from what we learned from the A to G requirements in terms of when they have to be completed. But that is what the basic standards are for NCAA. As a reminder, there are no test scores used in initial eligibility for NCAA. That was waived back in January of 2023. Obviously, that is not the case in terms of admissibility, but that is how the standard is for NCAA at this moment. So what is defined as a core course by the NCAA? You can see on the screen those 6 subject areas as they are titled: English, Math, Algebra 1 or higher, Natural Physical Science, Social Science, and Comparative Religion and Philosophy. That is the category that courses fall under. Those classes must be academic. They must be 4-year college preparatory courses being taught at or above grade level, and they must be taught by a qualified instructor. Something we mentioned to, even sometimes counselors, new counselors, if this isn't a familiar kind of, area in terms of what the NCAA is labeling, reminders that courses such as physical education, driver's education, sometimes applied arts or culinary arts are not going to fall in these courses. And this is something that becomes a little bit confusing, as some of those courses might be graduation requirements, but they will not fall into a core course description for the NCAA. That leads us into how GPAs can differ for students as it relates to NCAA core and a school GPA. So remember, we're only using those 16 approved courses to create that NCAA GPA, whereas our school GPA is using all courses. So these are 2 actual students that we have from our software and our dashboard showing there most always is a difference, and sometimes it can be a little bit larger. A discrepancy can be pretty vast, right? So you're seeing the school GPA is a 2.06, but my student has a 2.5 NCAA GPA. This is part of understanding that importance of the core courses and how they relate to that NCAA core GPA. So back to those core courses and how are those core courses defined and approved, right? So what is the NCAA high school portal? It's previously known as NCAA Clearinghouse. That is that's kind of a name that's very common as it's used. Each school should have an NCAA account. It should be cleared and updated. And also inside there, you're going to see all of those subject areas listed out with classes at that particular school and if they are approved for NCAA credit. So you will see a list of classes approved in English, approved in math, approved in natural physical science and social science. Then you'll also see classes that are denied. Those classes may appear as something that is a graduation requirement, that may be an English class that is taught in a school. But if the NCAA has not deemed that under their definitions for a core course, it is not approved for that student athlete to receive credit. It's important, as we have, obviously, I'm sure they're on today's webinar, there is probably a primary or secondary contact in our audience right now, but we always think about if this is a new space for you, understanding who is that primary and secondary contact for you in your institution. This is sort of just a larger scale of how, where are the athletic opportunities for college-bound student athletes? So starting all the way over there on the left, we have a conference that's outside of the NCAA. It is the NAIA. We then have our 3 divisions of NCAA. the National Junior Collegiate College Association, and then obviously our California Community College Athletic Association. You can see the number of schools in each of these spaces, number of student athletes averaging out, how many kids are participating, what sports or how many sports are offered, and where athletic scholarship is available. I like to share the map of the NAIA schools. It is something that commonly people are like, NAIA, I don't know what that is. Obviously, NCAA Division I, Division II, Division III are a little more commonplace from what we see on television and in social media and just kind of in background. So specific right now to California, you can see the CalPAC and the GSAC are the conferences that are close to you, along with the Cascade a little bit north of you. But this is a map of those NAIA schools. And remembering that NAIA schools for student athletes are a space where college athletic scholarships are offered. A little different requirement in the NAIA. So again, not trying to confuse everyone because we've gone A to G, NCAA, now we're here at NAIA. NAIA is pretty simple though. It is either a 2.3 minimum overall high school GPA. You are qualified for that space to receive athletic scholarship and participate. If you are below that 2.3 school overall GPA, you must meet 2 of the 3 standards that you see there on the screen. So minimum overall high school GPA of a 2.0, and then that test score 18 or 970, and graduate top half of your class. So those are the requirements for NAIA to be eligible. Junior college. So understanding, we concluded 2 spaces that, California community colleges and National Junior Collegiate College Athletic Association. What are the requirements for student athletes for this space? 1, junior colleges essentially need a general, a GED or just a high school diploma, right, in order to enroll. But then in terms of NCAA and initial eligibility, where you end your high school career will determine what that means for you in the junior college space. So student athletes sometimes attend a junior college as a stepping stone to potentially move on to a Division I or Division II school. However, understanding Division I full qualifiers may attend a junior college institution, and they may be there just for 1 semester. They may play a fall sport, and they may make a decision to move into the transfer portal to move on to a larger school or a different opportunity. If I leave the high school space as a non-qualifier and I'm attending a junior college, I must graduate from the junior college institution with a diploma before I am eligible to enter the transfer portal. So a little bit about just kind of sharing, who is Honest Game, who is Courtney, what does our team do? Essentially, we are using data and technology to provide not only NCAA portal and audit maintenance for your school, but we're also providing a dashboard that shares this eligibility in all 5 of those college athletic pathways in a quick, easy way for all of the people around that student athlete so they can see the same information. That includes counselors, coaches, athlete, parent. Okay, they are essentially seeing right from that student transcript from the high school, they're seeing where that student may be projected and may land in the college athletic space. Right now, I'm sharing a screen of what our dashboard looks like. So I'm logging in as a high school counselor or administrator. I am able to see all of my student athletes. I'm able to search them by last name, first name, graduation year, and I'm able to see at a glance, right, quickly using a red light, yellow light, green light system, right? Is that athlete eligible in what spaces, and how do I need to understand where they may need some assistance? I can click inside individual athletes and then see their individual athletic report, which will detail out for me if a student needs assistance, if they're missing something. You'll be able to have kind of direct next steps for what that looks like. Most importantly, at the basic level, we are also providing and ensuring that we have your NCAA portal, as we mentioned, with classes updated, audited, and reviewed on a very regular basis. If your school needs help, if you're a new school, if you need help setting this up, we offer all kinds of assistance for what we call our NCAA course audit and portal maintenance, which is a great foundation for student athletes. So as many courses that are considered core courses can be updated and approved on your high school's portal, that is what is going to set students up for success. Excuse me. Obviously, we want to address data security, so you can kind of see on the screen the steps we take here to make sure that everything that's coming over for your student athletes is obviously secured. We use industry standard encryption. We are FERPA standard compliant, and you can see on here some of the other districts and large districts we work with across the country there at the bottom. That includes Chicago Public Schools, Cincinnati Public Schools, Polk County in Florida, Charlotte Mecklenburg, just to name a few. How do schools and districts pay for us across the country? You can see there on the screen, we have a number of different options, and we kind of include all of those so that one of these might fit a bucket for you that may work with your student athletes and your administration. Costs can sometimes be split between different departments, curriculum, counseling, athletics, kind of touching all the stakeholders in those spaces. We've seen booster club support from schools. We identify individual donors in your area that may be interested in providing the support. And obviously we see federal funds being used, both title funds, 1, 2, and 4, and ESSER funds. So sort of what we're offering today in terms of student athlete scholarship opportunity is one UC Scout online course. If there's more details about that, we can share that in a moment. One college athletic report on eligibility from Honest Game, and one 30-minute Honest Game college counseling session with an academic and compliance expert. You can see kind of the value that we have here for everything. And then obviously we will share a little bit more detail of the deadline submission for the scholarship is April 1st. And we'll be sharing that out to our webinar participants today. And Guadalupe, back to you.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Courtney. And yes, we're super excited to build this partnership with Honest Game when it comes to being able to offer a UC Scout course to student athletes through the Honest Game Foundation. We're really excited for that. Now, you've heard both Courtney and I discuss a little bit about the different requirements for student athletes to be college eligible and NCAA eligible. Now, what we do at UC Scout is ensure that students have the courses that they need to be A through G eligible and also NCAA eligible. So we're going to go ahead and give you some additional information about our program, who we are, and how we can help support your students with meeting both college admission requirements and also NCAA eligibility. So to kick things off, a little bit about UC Scout if you've never heard of us before. We are a program within the University of California, and most specifically, we fall under what's called the SAPEP portfolio, which is the Student Academic Preparation and Educational Partnerships. Now, there's a total of 13 SAPEP programs within the UC system. There's MESA, Puente, EAOP. If you're an educator here in the call, you may be familiar with some of those. But what we all do, all 13 programs, is ensure that students have resources and are prepared for college and career readiness. So the way that we do that at UC Scout, of course, is by providing courses to students. Altogether, we offer 66 A through G approved courses, including 27 AP College Board approved courses and curriculum. Now, UC Scout is not considered a full high school, so we don't award diplomas for taking courses with us. We're not a full high school. We don't counsel students on which courses to take. We highly encourage that students work within their school and their school counselor to ensure that taking a course through UC Scout would be helpful as part of their academic journey. Now, even though we're not a full high school, we still fully are accredited to provide high school level courses to students. We are accredited by WASC, the Western Association of Schools and Colleges, of course, the NCAA for the student athletes, and the College Board for AP College Board approved courses. Now, the reason that UC Scout is in existence is to, of course, provide high quality A through G and AP courses and curricula for students in need, with an emphasis on advancing the academic success of California's educationally underserved students. And I will say that the majority of our focus has been on serving California students, but any student across the country and even internationally that needs access to A through G approved courses or NCAA approved courses can fully take advantage of our program. Now let's go to the next slide, please, Courtney. All right, so I talked about the courses. So here are the courses. These are the courses that we provide through our program. There's 66 altogether, all broken down within their respective A through G subject area. Now, there is one course here in our course catalog that is not A through G approved. It's our pre-algebra course. That is a course that's not A through G approved anywhere. It's not specific to UC Scout, but it's still a course that we provide to ensure that students have those fundamentals to be successful in either the Algebra 1 math track or the integrated math track. Now, we have lots of different opportunities for students that are needing courses to meet the A through G requirements or the NCAA requirements, but students take courses from UC Scout for a variety of reasons. Let's say you have a student that you're working with, they're a student athlete, and maybe they have some scheduling conflicts because of practice, right? They're having to practice a lot for their sport. No problem. They can choose to take a UC Scout course on demand, fully online through our program. Now they have access to that course in a different format. So there's lots of different opportunities. We also help support students with meeting credit recovery, remediation, or advancement opportunities, taking additional maybe AP courses that can help them stand out in the college application process. So lots of different reasons, and we'll get to those in just a second. But one thing I will point out here in our course catalog is the video lessons for all of our courses. So when students sign up for a UC Scout On Demand course, they are learning primarily from our pre-recorded video lessons. So there's no live instruction, and that's what makes all of our on-demand courses fully asynchronous. So since there's no live instruction, all of the students are learning from those video lessons. Now, the video lessons are fully produced in-house at UC Scout, so we never outsource any of that to another company. We have a studio where we have our video production team, our instructional designers, and our subject matter experts that work together to fully be able to create these really fun, engaging, and interactive video lessons for our students. So we're always constantly doing quality assurance to ensure the video lessons stay relevant to the students' learning experience, and at the same time also creating new courses for students. So one exciting thing we have coming up is summer of 2024. We will be implementing ethnic studies to our course catalog. And then in the fall, we're also adding AP African American Studies. So we're always developing new courses and making our course catalog even that much more comprehensive. All right, let's go to the next slide, please. Perfect. So this conversation here is primarily on how to help support students with NCAA approved courses. So I wanted to focus on some of those with this slide here. All of our courses at UC Scout are NCAA approved, with the exception of the courses that NCAA does not approve throughout different disciplines. So the courses that you're seeing here on the screen are the courses that are not NCAA approved anywhere. Once again, it's not specific to UC Scout. These are just not NCAA approved. So if your student is taking a course through UC Scout primarily to meet NCAA eligibility, make sure it's not one of these courses, because these courses will not meet that requirement. However, of course, if they're utilizing this course to meet college admission requirements, one of those A through Gs, then this would still be a fantastic resource for them. But it's important to know those differences there. In a little bit, I'm going to talk about the two other ways, Basic and Plus, two other ways that we offer courses. But through Basic and Plus, those are not NCAA approved courses, but we're going to go ahead and get into that right now. Now, for our basic plan, what we provide students is access to video lessons for any of those 66 courses that you saw on the previous slide. So that allows them to have a secondary instructor, someone that can help reinforce difficult topics, things of that nature. It's just a supplemental learning resource for them where we provide video lessons for those 66 courses that we have available. Now, since this is a supplemental learning resource for students, we don't offer credit for students that participate within our basic plan. These are just an opportunity for them to maybe explore a subject area, or prepare for an upcoming exam, things of that nature. Now, if you work primarily with any teachers within your school, which I'm sure many of you do, it might also be helpful for you to know that Basic is also a supplemental teaching resource for teachers. This is a great option for teachers that may need video lessons or other assignments to share out with their students to once again help reinforce some of those difficult topics. Now, for our basic plan, that is 100% free for any student or teacher in a California public school. And it's only $29 per student per course per semester for any students that are in private schools or outside of the state of California. Now, our Plus program here, I won't spend too much time covering Basic and Plus because I want to spend the majority of our presentation talking about On Demand, which are those online courses we provide to students. But we still wanted to provide you with that comprehensive view of all of the different offerings we have within UC Scout. But for our Plus plan, what we offer is a partnership within schools, and we work primarily with a teacher to provide our entire course curriculum of any of our courses to that teacher. That would include watch the video lessons, that would include the entire curriculum. So assignments, quizzes, answer keys, grading rubrics, everything a teacher would need to teach a course, in addition to Canvas, which is the online classroom LMS platform that we use. That would then allow a teacher to run a course 100% online or virtually, and it just provides a lot more of those flexible learning options for students. Now, our Plus plan, once again, that is free for California public school teachers and of course the students that they would serve through the Plus plan, and at $49 per student per course per semester for any private schools in California or out of state. Now, with this plan, the school is able to issue credit for any of the courses that are adopted through our UC Scout program. Now, the majority of this presentation here, I'm going to focus on demand. So if you're working with any students directly and they maybe come to you for concerns about meeting a specific requirement, whether that be for college admissions, graduation requirements, or NCAA, on demand might be a great solution for them. What we offer students in on demand are those online, self-paced, asynchronous courses that students can take directly through UC Scout. So there would be no need to go through their school. They can fully go to our UC Scout website and register for that course that they need. However, as I mentioned earlier, we highly encourage students to work with their school counselor and ensure that whatever course they're taking is going to help with their educational journey, whether that is for college admissions or for NCAA eligibility. The reasons why they're taking this course, it's important to have that open communication with their counselor. Now, for any students that are interested in taking on-demand courses through UC Scout, our courses are $399 per student per course per semester. Now, we do have a scholarship program where we can reduce that cost for the student at a significant amount if students are within the mission demographic that we serve at UC Scout. That would be any students that are low income, first generation college going, English language learners, and foster youth. If students meet two of that four criteria, they could have a reduced cost of $50 instead of that $399 cost per student per course. Now, you did see before I started this presentation, Courtney had that slide on that partnership between UC Scout and Honest Game when it comes to us partnering to provide a scholarship opportunity for students. And I know that link was dropped in the chat for you all to have your students apply, but that's a great option to have both resources from Honest Game and a course from UC Scout for your students. So highly encourage you all to push that out to your students and see some of those student athletes that would really benefit from both of our programs. And last but not least here on this slide, one last thing I wanted to emphasize for on demand is that since UC Scout offers the course directly to students, we also do offer that final grade, credit, and transcript to the student upon their completion of their course. And that transcript, once again, can go back to their high school to meet any high school graduation requirements, and of course, colleges of their choice to meet any of those college admission requirements. Awesome. Let's go to the next slide, please. Perfect. So I wanted to provide you all with some additional details here on the on-demand plan. If you do have some students maybe that do need to take advantage of taking an online UC Scout course immediately or soon after this presentation, So, as I mentioned earlier, our on-demand online self-paced courses are available for students to be able to take advantage of. And we enroll students in 3 different terms: in the fall, the spring, and the summer terms. Now, for spring of 2024, that is the current term that we're currently in right now. The enrollment is actually open until April 4th for the spring term. So, what we do is our fall and our spring term are 16 weeks long if students start from the beginning of the term up until the very end of the term. So, to give you an example, the spring term actually began back in January. It started on January 16th, but students have until April 4th to fully enroll in their on demand course for this spring term. And now they have until the end date to the term, which is May 16th, to complete their course. Now, if you have students that might want to take advantage of this now, just know that they are going to be working with less weeks, right? Because they didn't enroll in January or early February. They're enrolling now. So that's one thing to keep in mind. We highly recommend that students take advantage of the entire 16 weeks for the fall and the spring so that they have ample time to complete those courses. However, there are some students that are also 100% successful in completing our courses. If they start those courses in that final enrollment date, let's say April 4th, have to complete it by May 16th, they're just going to have to work at a faster pace to complete those courses on time, but it's definitely 100% doable. Now, I also want to throw out there, summer is a great opportunity for students to also take courses through UC Scout, and it's a flexible option for student athletes as well, as we know that they have practice and other things that they're navigating. So for this upcoming summer of 2024, enrollment actually begins on April 5th. So that's when our registration will open up, but the term won't actually begin for the summer until May 28th. So that's the first date that students will be able to have access to their course in Canvas, and then they will have 10 whole weeks to complete their course over the summer. So those are the term dates that are coming up right now for spring, and then of course for summer of 2024. Now, what does UC Scout fully provide within a UC Scout course for students through On Demand? What we provide, of course, I mentioned earlier in our course catalog, are those engaging video lessons. That is the primary source of instruction for students. This is a fully asynchronous course, so students are not supposed to be logged in at a specific time, right? They could learn at their own time. It's self-paced. But we also do want to ensure that students have support and guidance through their UC Scout course. So that's where our on-demand teachers come in. They provide that oversight and that grading of assignments for students. So even though students are learning from those video lessons, they're completing those interactive assignments, they still have a UC Scout teacher that they can reach out to for additional support, or to help reinforce some challenging topics maybe that they're experiencing in the video lessons. So lots of different support there with someone that can help guide them through that. Now, we also provide students with a pacing guide. So as I mentioned earlier, when I was talking about the term dates, the pacing guide is really helpful because it helps ensure that students know exactly when certain assignments need to be completed by, whether they start at the start of the term or whether they're starting now for the spring term. So it's a great way to ensure that they're on track with their course to finish by that end date. Now, there's also really cool observer feature to help monitor the students' progress within our courses, and that feature is amazing. So if you're a school counselor in this call or an athletic director, if you want to help ensure that your student is staying on track within their course, you can do that. You can sign up as an observer and be able to provide them with some of that reassurance and that support throughout their course. Now, for our courses, we do proctor the exams virtually, and it's asynchronous. So whenever the student is ready to be proctored, they can log into our ProctorU vendor and be able to fully get proctored when they're ready to be proctored for that midterm and final exam. And then once the student completes their course, we will provide that credit and transcript to the student for them to be able to showcase that to meet any college admissions or, of course, NCAA eligibility requirements. All right, and next slide, please. Awesome. So as I mentioned earlier, we do have 27 AP courses. So if you have a student that wants to take an AP course through UC Scout, we also highly encourage that they take advantage of taking that corresponding AP exam. So after a student completes an AP course through our program, they can then choose to take that AP exam in May for a fee, and that fee is determined by the College Board, so it's going to be the same across the board, whether that exam is taken at UC Scout or elsewhere. Now, for students that take an AP exam and score a 3 or higher in that exam, they may potentially earn college credit for that course. So it's important for them to connect with those admissions representatives at the schools they're applying to see exactly what that score needs to meet that college credit criteria. But that's the really cool thing about AP courses, is that there is potential to earn college credit. Now, how do students take the AP exam? Well, it varies. So for students that are enrolled in an AP exam through our Plus plan, so that was the partnership that we have with schools, they would just take the exam through their school. So that's no problem. However, if students are taking the AP exam because they completed an AP course through our on-demand plan, then there are a couple of different options on how they can take that AP exam. Option number one is taking the exam in person at UC Scouts headquarters in Santa Clara, California. Now, I know there's a lot of maybe local folks here in the call, but if your students are not local to the Bay Area, Santa Clara, that might be a little bit of a challenge because, transportation and those various things. So there's two other options. The student can also request that their school proctor the AP exam for them for that course, or they can go to another testing agency in their geographic area and request that AP exam at that testing agency. And there is a College Board ledger that helps students figure out those testing agencies that are close to their geographic location. Now, I wanted to end this presentation on a high note. One of the things that we're really excited about UC Scout is that pass rate for AP exams. Last year, in May of 2023, 80% of students that took an AP exam in our headquarters at UC Scout passed with a 3 or higher, and that's well above the national average. So we are so proud of our students, of course, so proud of our teachers for providing that strong foundation for students to be successful. So we are just excited, overall to have such amazing students that are being 100% successful in those AP courses and therefore those AP exams. But that there is the end of our presentation. Thank you so much, Courtney, for doing this with me. This was such a great conversation to have with school counselors, athletic directors, anyone that supports student athletes through navigating those intricacies of college admission requirements, NCAA eligibility. We know it can be a lot. So thank you for joining in on this conversation. But if you want to stay connected, please do. We are here to continue to support you and the students that you serve. Those are the websites where you can reach both UC Scout and Honest Game and our social media platforms. So we hope that today is not the end of this conversation, but just the start of a new beginning with us and Honest Game and all of you. So thank you all so much for joining, and we will open it up for questions at this time.
Thank you so much. I'm just looking here in the chat. I just want to try to see some questions that we may have that may be helpful for everyone. I have one here. What are the next steps if I find out a student athlete, the junior, is missing NCAA core courses? Great question. Well, one, I think first and foremost, it's important. One of the services that we provide is to get an updated eligibility report so that you know in detail what core courses they're missing, right? What is the time frame that we're working on, and what are they scheduled to take in their senior year? As we mentioned in this sort of webinar and understanding, UC Scout classes, a number of them, besides the ones that Guadalupe specifically kind of called out, are NCAA approved, and student athletes may take courses outside of their high school to be able to make up courses, right? To be back on track, to meet not only the 16 core, but the 10-7 rule for the NCAA. So that is important to understand. Getting an updated transcript, right? We could provide an updated report through our Honest Game reporting, and then provide some courses that student could enroll in through UC Scout. Looks like this question is for you, Guadalupe. Will my high school accept a student's credits from UC Scout?
Yes, thank you so much. That's a great question. So, all of our courses, as I mentioned earlier, are WASC accredited, so there shouldn't be any problem with schools accepting UC Scouts credit. However, it does vary depending on the district that you're a part of. There are some districts that just do not accept credit from any online provider. It's not specific to UC Scout, it's just a school policy. So if you are thinking about taking a UC Scout course, I would highly recommend step one is ensuring that you are connecting with your school counselor and just asking if they were to take a course through UC Scout, if that would count as credit towards high school graduation requirements. Now, whether the student is looking at high school graduation requirements, that's 100% needed to have that conversation with the school. But if the student is primarily taking that UC Scout course to meet any college admission requirements, then you can still fully take a UC Scout course. We would just then send that transcript directly to those colleges and universities of your choice. But absolutely, for the most part, it's a done deal, but it's important to have those conversations in case you are in one of those districts that may be a little finicky about providing credit to any course that you've taken through an online provider.
Excellent.
Awesome. I think there's
Looks like
a
the next question. Oh, go ahead. Go ahead, Guadalupe. I think you can see it too. Go ahead.
Thank you, Courtney. I was just going to ask, this is a question here for you. Can you talk more about how a community college athlete can transfer to a 4-year NCAA or NAIA college, and what are the requirements?
So essentially, we talked a little bit about this, and I'll just kind of refresh back to that slide. As I am graduating from high school, it is important that I know where I stand in my initial qualifying acceptance. So if I am a Division I full qualifier, right, I may go to a junior college institution for a semester or less than, 2-year period, right, depending on if my sport falls in the fall, winter, or spring. If I am a full qualifier, I then may enter the transfer portal after that season to explore my options at the Division I or II level. If I enter the junior college as a non-qualifier, I must complete 2 years at the junior college before I am eligible to enter the transfer portal and move on to another space in Division I, Division II, or NAIA. Again, in NAIA space, it depends on where you're landing with that high school GPA and your ongoing eligibility in the junior college space. So we offer specific counseling around student athletes who are interested in transferring, or if that is part of their plan, because there is obviously different rules, depending obviously always on your initial final eligibility as a high school graduate. All right, the next question looks like this one is for you. Who teaches UC Scout courses? Great question.
Thank you, Courtney. Yes, that's a great question. So for our on-demand courses, the primary source of instruction are the pre-recorded video lessons. So that's the primary way that students will receive instruction from taking any UC Scout online asynchronous course. However, we still want to ensure students have that human interaction. So all of our courses have a California credentialed teacher for oversight. So students are more than welcome to connect with their teacher if they find the video lessons a bit challenging. If they have specific questions, they can always schedule one-on-one appointments with their teachers or hop in on the weekly office hours that teachers have scheduled. But yes, all of our courses also do have a California credentialed teacher that provides oversight for that course. Great question.
All right, I don't think. If my school wants UC Scout, do we need to have a credentialed teacher for each subject?
Yes. Can you repeat the question? Sorry, I'm not
So
seeing
if
it.
my school wants to offer UC Scout, do we need to have a credentialed teacher for each subject?
Ooh, that's a great question. Yes, so I'm assuming you're probably thinking about our plus plan and who can facilitate a plus course for your school. That's a great question. So it'll really depend on the subject area. For example, math is a subject area where we 100% would like to have that facilitating teacher for plus be a subject matter expert, someone that can fully support students through their UC Scout course or a plus plan. However, there are some differences. Like, for example, our computer science offerings, there's not a lot of teachers that are fully credentialed in computer science in that specific subject area, but any teacher with a math credential, an ITE, industrial technology education, or even business subject matter experts can fully be able to facilitate a computer science course. So it'll really depend on the subject area. But yes, I don't think it really makes sense for maybe someone that doesn't know French to be facilitating a French course, because then it's going to be challenging to be able to provide that guidance and support to students. But yes, if you have questions, I'll ask my colleagues to drop our email in the chat, because we can also do a personalized consultation with your school and really go into answering some of those specific questions when it comes to implementing our Plus program. Yeah, great question.
Okay, I see one here more. I see another one here for us, or for me at Honest Game. So, Honest Game does counsel transfer students, and how would I share more about that option with someone here that's on the call? So, I'm going to ask. I believe one of my colleagues is on to throw in the chat contact directly. So we would ask you, counselor, to direct them to our website. We do have a kind of interested in counseling, and they could kind of specify what they're exactly looking for, and one of our counselors would reach out to them from Honest Game and provide next steps for that guidance for that specific student and their specific needs around, where they're coming from and where they'd like to go. Okay, I think that may have covered all of our questions from everyone. Some great questions today. Thank you again. I know I kind of echo Guadalupe and her sort of sentiments. It's wonderful to partner with such an outstanding, UC Scout's just such a great job with their courses, sort of their teachers, everything they're providing to give students what they need, and also kind of know that outside of California, people are needing them as well in their services. So thank you so much for today. Thank you for joining us. I don't know if you had anything else you want to add, Guadalupe, to sign off. Everyone should have the information how to reach us. I believe the information for the scholarship was dropped in the chat to our webinar attendees, and I believe it also will be sent out to you via email.
Awesome. Thank you, Courtney. And thank you, everyone, for attending. Let us know how we can help support you and your students. Have a great lunch, everyone.